It is 9 o'clock. We'll call the August 7th Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. The minutes from July 31st.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes unless there's some corrections.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, there's just a little tweak. I probably wasn't real clear when I gave my, it would be on the page 11 of 12, Safe Communities of Wright County. It says Wright Road classes will be starting for parents and teens, and it's actually are continuing for parents and teens. It's just that they're gearing up for the new year, or the new school year.
So in starting, it'll be continuing?
Correct. They implemented that when Drive Right went away and Wright Road was implemented. So they have been having classes, and so they're just continuing. So.
But with that correction, then I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Page 12 of 12. Under item 6, Highway 25 Coalition, Potter said the building grant expires in 2022. Actually, the BUILD grant is what it is, and it's an acronym, so I'm going to tell it's called Better Utilizing Investment to Leverage Development, is what that acronym, because we talked about spelling them out so people know what does that mean?
Yeah, we love our acronyms.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Other people do.
So it's,
That was a corporate statement.
should I amend
Just
my
a matter of
motion
that
once
deal.
more?
Yep, please.
Mr.
So the
Chair,
word should be BUILD grant, and with BUILD with the acronym, count that out.
does anyone else have anything else? Okay, Mr. Chair, with those two corrections, I will remake my motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right. Amended motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Is there any other discussions?
Sorry about that, Sue.
Yeah.
Anything from over there?
Negative.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of the agenda. Is there anything that we need to add?
Mr. Chair, I have one item. I would request to add as consent item E, a approval and authorization of signature on a separation agreement with Jackie Schmidt.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that. With that addition to the agenda, I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Vetch. Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody would like to have removed for further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that one addition.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Time agendas. Mr. Greg Picard, Veteran Service Officer.
Morning, Commissioners. Very excited to introduce our new Assistant Veteran Service Officer to you. He just started last week, so be gentle. Steve Sabota is a great addition to our team. I think he's going to fit in well. He's already melded into the team, and I think he's going to be a good fit personality-wise and helping our veterans out. Steve was born in Chicago, so he's like my brother from another mother, being from Indiana. So, but he's been a pastor for several churches around the Twin Cities and the Metro, to include Buffalo, prior to coming with us. He worked at Dura Supreme immediately before coming to us. He's been in Buffalo since 2004 as a resident of Buffalo, and he's currently a member of the Air Force Reserve. Again, another Air Force guy. We're going to clean this county up. So anyway, board, Mr. Steve Sabota.
Welcome.
Well, okay, hold on, I would like, we're not done with you yet. You've been through boot camp. You thought boot camp was tough, you wait till you get done with this crap. Yeah, welcome, I thought I'd met you somewhere before. Dura Suprema is a relative of my wife, the Keith Stotts, the Stotts family.
Okay.
So because I'd seen you, I have seen you somewhere, and it's just now come where I'd met you. Great, I'm glad to have you here. I hear you've got the office made up already, so you've got it hit the ground running.
Very nice.
And welcome aboard, and I think that it would be nice for the press if they could take a picture and put this gentleman in there to let the veterans know that we have
Yeah.
two in there to help them, because every chance I get to let them veterans know that we're here to help you.
But shouldn't they
Very
have
good.
hired somebody that, other than an Air Force person, somebody so that there would be,
Well, I'm sure
somebody
that-
from the Army or the Navy so that we diversified?
Slower for them, too.
Just remember, those in charge get to make the rules. We'll final call on that.
Charlie, aren't you in the Navy, Charlie?
The only soft spot is I was actually in the Naval Air Force, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, what Charlie's not telling you, he was part of McHale's Navy, not the U.S. Navy. But if you could,
we should get those
because I
two-
think it'd be great for the people to see,
Greg, why don't you,
Greg,
come up and pose one?
Greg and Steve together.
Good idea.
because every chance we get to let the veterans
At the
know
end of
we're
the
here
naval
for
air.
them. And take a second one for the sheriff's department.
They already got it.
No, I'll take
Todd's already offered to let us see what the outside of the bars look like.
2 8x10 glossies.
Yeah, thank you.
Steve, did you do 4 years in the Air Force then, or how many years?
I'm still in.
Oh, you're in the reserves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finish up 16.
Did you drill down on 34th Street then, or?
Yeah, 934 there.
Yeah.
Right off of 34.
Okay, all right.
What do you do in the Air Force Reserves?
I came in as a chaplain.
Oh, okay.
and Transitioned to the line, and right now I work in the personnel area, which is actually really broad.
So you've got the,
Okay. So you
Background.
don't fly big airplanes then or anything?
No, I wish.
Or jets, I should say.
Welcome, and thanks for helping out.
aboard. Good.
Bob Hevela.
Morning, Board. The first item on the agenda, I'm going to have Brian come up here. Again, this is a piece of property being taken by Otsego. I'll have the map up here. And I'll let Brian go over that with you.
Good morning. Yeah, Bob doesn't make it to all of our meetings about tax forfeit stuff. Tammy kind of runs that end of the office. But this one's fairly routine. The city of Otsego is wanting to acquire this parcel. The only difference is that parcels for stormwater aren't really listed as something where they get the lot for free. Actually, they're purchasing it here, and I believe, hopefully, in that last whereas paragraph, it says purchase price of, or market value of the parcel is $100. Is that listed there?
Yep.
By purchasing it, it gives them more flexibility for the future if there's more development in this area and they decide not to use this for stormwater storage, they have the ability to do something else with it. But there's a drainage ditch that kind of follows this property line down here, so, and it's generally a low marshy area, so it's, seems appropriate for their intended use.
All right, anybody have any questions?
This is another one of those little anomalies that we're cleaning up, and thank goodness for that. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the City of Otsego tax forfeit land resolution to purchase parcel ID 1182210000010.
I'll second that, and it is a resolution.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner
Burrell.
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 You've been on vacation too long.
He hasn't seen him for a week.
We can put name tags on next time.
I want to say Commissioner Charlie. Took me a moment. Commissioner Burrell.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Board, for the record, I don't shirk my responsibilities. I do get involved with the tax forfeiture. I pick and choose. Anyways, the next two items are ditch-related. I want to let you know that the viewers are done with their work, but I'm going to have Matt come up here and talk about scheduling the public hearings and what that means in that step of redeterminations. So here's Matt.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. On July 17th, we set two public hearings for September 11th, starting at 10:30. Since they're on two separate ditch systems, we kind of need to lock down the actual times that each public hearing will start. The two ditches we are talking about are County Ditch 22 and County Ditch 34. And I included in your packet the times. So we're looking to start the public hearing for County Ditch 22 at 10:30, and then move after that. We would start the meeting or public hearing for County Ditch 34 at 11:15. Obviously, if the one for County Ditch 22 goes a little bit later than that, then we'd have to kind of postpone the meeting for 34 a little bit. But that way we'd be able to get both of them done on the 11th. So.
Mr. Chair, Coordinator Kelly, do we need two separate motions?
Yes,
The two separate.
as was mentioned, this was at the previous board meeting, but they were set for the same time. So now it is listed as two separate motions to
All
set
right.
two separate times.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for redetermination of benefits on County Ditch 22 for 10:30 a.m. on September 11th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Brown. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And I'll make a motion to schedule redetermination of benefits on County Ditch 34 for 11:15 on September 11th.
I'll second that.
Excuse me.
That's you.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Matt, just a quick reminder for the people out there where these two ditches are located at again?
So 22, or actually they're both in Charlie's district. So 34 would be near Delano, just northwest of Delano. It's a tiled system. We've been having some problems with. And then County Ditch 22, I don't know.
Woodland Township.
Woodland Township, so it's kind of in that.
It's south of 31.
Is that the Ruckles Lake area?
Nope, it's south of that one.
South of that one, okay.
They kind of almost parallel each other, but 22 is not as long as.
No, it's a
Okay,
shorter system. So. But yeah, kind of in that general area. So.
Okay. Thank you.
The board, thank you. I just want to remind you that today, in-person voting starts in the absentee voting places. The courthouse is one of them. Absentee voting has been going on for many days. But today, you can actually cast your ballot inside the tabulator, the DS200 here. So,
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Bob, is that also available in every precinct around here or just here?
just where the absentee voting is happening, so I'll,
So the
Hey,
question
Michael,
is, I should
Albertville.
rephrase that, is the absentee voting live ballot available in every precinct in the county or just at the courthouse here?
just where absentee voting is happening.
Just at the courthouse?
Courthouse, St. Michael, Delano, Albertville,
Okay, so the cities,
the cities who accepted doing absentee voting.
okay, accepted, okay, so that was the question, because I don't want people thinking they can just go up to the Woodland Township and you're not there.
Right.
I just want to,
I'm sorry, yes, this is just available where absentee voting is happening.
okay,
So the nice thing about inserting your ballot into the tabulator is you get that response back whether you undervoted, overvoted,
Okay.
or crossed party lines, so,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, I understand Virgil Hawkins is not here today.
Grandpa?
So we're stuck
Grandpa
with,
Virgil?
We're stuck with Chad. Well, according to Chad,
Yep.
not a grandpa yet.
Not yet. Unlike Greg and Bob, I didn't bring anybody to introduce me. I'm just by myself, so.
Didn't know we needed an MC to come to the board meeting. But we have, commissioners, we have 3 agenda items, I think. First one in front of you is the awarding contract 1806, which is the 38 reconstruction from 101 to Odine in Otsego. Fane Contracting is a parent low bidder for the amount of $4,012,167.08, and it is our recommendation to award that bid. We've included the abstract so you can see the other bidders. It's pretty much within 1 or 2% of our engineer's estimate. We had 3.9 million for engineer's estimate.
That's
So-
very competitive.
We're late into the
Yes.
construction seasons. What's the plan for this?
The plan on the contract, unless Fane has the right to propose something to us to approve, but the current contract states that they will complete the roundabout at Odine and 38 out to the first stormwater pond, so that way we don't, in the spring, it doesn't flood that intersection, and then the pipe to the outlet. So that's the only work we are allowing this year unless they request to do additional. And which our thought is that'll allow the north-south traffic and everything west of Odine to be able to get down to the interstate instead of going out to 101, they can get down to 137 and the interstate at 37.
So you're working on this west to east or east to west?
That's their choice once the spring comes, but
Okay.
this fall, we're only going to complete the intersection of Odine and 38.
Okay. See, we don't know if they're working, what direction they're going to start from at this time.
No, we'll have a pre-construction meeting once we get contracts signed, and this is contingent upon MnDOT approving the DBE goal, which is the disadvantaged business, which is 5.7%, which Fane has said they're going to meet. They just have to send the documentation to MnDOT. MnDOT gives the okay, and then we can sign contracts. So,
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chad, what was the actual engineer's estimate on this?
3.9.
3.9 million?
Yeah.
So it's just a little over, because for a while we were getting the bids in under the engineering
Typically.
estimates. Has Blacktop gone up in price, or?
Yeah, the issue with the refinery explosion out in Wisconsin has driven up the price of oil. So and we thought, and we did get, that's one other reason to delay the project till next year, is it should allow that to stabilize. We've seen, we were lucky we opened our bids ahead of time. If we would have waited after the refinery explosion, I think, I talked to Knife River and they said at least it would have been $7 to $10 a ton higher because of that. Yeah, it's just supply and demand. It's
And when is that refinery? That's probably not going to be up for another year or two, huh?
Well, I heard on the news at least 18 months for full opening, but I'm not sure about what we need out of it, so.
And Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chad, just to let the public know that when you do engineers' estimates, it's always based on past bids. So you're always for a while, they'll be under.
Yep.
And then as it catches up, then it'll be slightly over, then you adjust that, because you're always chasing the tail on this one.
Kind of like property taxes and,
Right.
assessment value, assessed
So it's the
values.
idea is if you're within just a couple percent of engineer's estimate, then you're pretty good. But when it starts
Yeah.
getting 15, 20% over, then you gotta,
Yeah,
it's kind of like the retaining wall out here on the county road for Buffalo. I think the price went way past what they are thinking of, and that's why they're gonna rebid it.
exactly. Yep.
Well, on the front page here, you've got the preliminary construction estimate identified in agreement with the city of Otsego was 4.8 million.
Yes, that was based on the preliminary estimate by SRF way like a year and a half ago. Our engineer's estimate when we submitted it to MnDOT was closer to 3.9.
Oh, okay.
Once we finalized the design, we made some,
What's the scope of the project with land acquisition on this? The total? We don't-
complete.
It's complete?
Oh, we have possession of all properties, but we have 2 parcels that are,
I thought there was just one.
one now, the one parcel that's going into condemnation.
Okay.
Well, take that back, scheduled condemnation. We hope to settle before we get to land commissioners.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to award the contract number 1806, County CASA 38, to the low bidder of Fane Companies in the amount of $4,012,167.08.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Is there any other discussion? I just have one quick question. What is the DBE commitment? What does DBE stand for?
Disadvantaged businesses, that's for the contractor has to commit to hiring a certain percentage of the contract dollar value for women and minority businesses, owned businesses.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So they're up at 5.7%.
Yep.
Which is the highest any of them had done, so.
Yes.
All right. Any other discussions? Hearing none, this is not a resolution, right? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
The Commissioners, the next agenda item is the, we applied for and were successful in federal funds for the segment of 19 through the one-way pairs in St. Michael, where it's the current design was the interim solution when they first built it. The traffic volumes have grown to the point where we need to go to the final full build-out solution that was designed 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But so as part of receiving the federal funds, they want a resolution from the board committing to the local share, basically saying that, you know, they don't want us to walk away from it and then they're stuck trying to find another home for those federal funds. So this is just another step in the process before we can start the preliminary design and public involvement and right-of-way acquisition. So
This has been in the works a long time.
yes, it's much needed.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution required by MnDOT to accept the federal funding for fiscal year 2022 for CASA 19 highway expansion in St. Michael.
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any other discussion? One quick question. The 1.5 that's local share, we looking at using it with some of the sales tax funds or with levy funds or state
Or
funds?
state aid. Some combination of three. The local option sales tax is an option that is on our list. We had it, it's basically from, I think, 241 all the way down to the South County line on 19 as a segment. We had it shown in the later years. Doesn't mean we couldn't use it in 2022. State aid's an option and also local levy. But yes, and then also the city of St. Michael have some cost share too.
Oh, they will, okay.
Yep.
So this is looking at done in 2022 then?
Yep.
So we have a few years to go.
We do.
All right, any other questions? Resolution, Commissioner Burrell?
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Item number 3.
All right, the last item in front of you, Commissioners, is the, basically, it's a cleanup resolution. I guess many years ago, park and ride lot in Albertville was the county-owned property, and we quitclaim deeded it to the city. Now, MnDOT is going to acquire that and as part of the construction for the 94 project. And there's some reconveyance of, what's the proper terminology? A reversionary clause. So basically, when we first deeded this property to the city, if the city were ever to try to get rid of the property, then some of the rights revert back to us. You know, so that way if they tried to develop it or something, we wanted to keep it as a parking lot. Well, now that it's going to be used for public purpose again, we would need to basically release those reversionary clauses and all rights to it so MnDOT can utilize it. So it's just a formality that their right-of-way agents caught. And Jeremy looked at it and he didn't sort of do that.
Commissioner Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board and Chad, this goes back to when I was in office in Albertville. Part of that was old County Road 37. And when they quit using that for that public purpose, it reverted back to the city. And we had the landowner next to us wanted to, well, obviously revert it back to them. And we decided to keep it for future road because we are anticipating this coming up now. And then this was 20-some years ago. That's why we kept it. We just made it as a park and ride right now, temporary until we needed it. So this was anticipated a long time ago, and it's, thank goodness, a cleanup item just come to fruition now. And with that, I'd make a motion to adopt the resolution to clear up the deed for the park and ride at MnDOT's request.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Burrell. Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, although this is a resolution. Commissioner Burrell?
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair, this is the last footnote on this item here. County Road 37, when it used to be on that north side of the tracks, it crossed the tracks and immediately was on the south side of the tracks. It was a very dangerous intersection. School buses couldn't.
Yep.
And that's part of why we moved it there, and it was a little contentious at the time, but
It was a lot
for
safer.
those safety issues like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was, I'm sure back in the state, because that used to be part of the old state highway before the freeway came in.
Yeah,
It's a goofy intersection, or goofy angle.
yeah, still is kind of the way it is with the freeway and stuff. I look forward to having the, that 94 expansion done and then that, however they're gonna put that frontage road
Get that collector
entrance.
distributor.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
And one last item, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Chad, thank Highway Department for that 37 there, and the striping and everything. It looks good, and people are commenting they're happy with how it
Do with
turned out.
that. I think the plan there is we're just going to try to, I don't want to say hold it together, but that's just a maintenance preservation until the MnDOT work is done, and then we'll see what the traffic volumes turn out to be once the ramps open and everything kind of resettles, and then we can do a longer-term project.
Correct. I mean, I know it's a 5-year Band-Aid, but it's buying us time right here.
Sure.
Until that other work is done, then we can go back and revisit it.
Yep.
Just let people know there's a reasoning behind what we did there.
Yep.
So 5-year Band-Aid, is that when it's 5 years, when the 94 expansion is complete?
It should be before that, but we just give ourselves a little cushion just in case.
Yes. All right.
All right,
Thank you.
anything else?
No, thank you, Chad.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
There are no items for consideration, so advisory boards, advisory updates. Commissioner Burrell.
I have nothing.
Just a couple of things. We had the foster care picnic in the park. It was for both the adult foster care residents and children. And so it was a big group. Unfortunately, it was a little cold, but but other than that, it was a really nice turnout. And the fire department was there, and the Deputy Cotton with the canine was there. And so they had a lot of questions for him. So that was fun. And I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Judge Kim Johnson, whose funeral was last Saturday. And so he was a judge for 25 years, I think, on the bench.
Here in Wright County.
Yeah, District 10, yep. Wright County. But that's it. It was, had lots going on, but nothing to report here.
Yeah, I just got back from vacation.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to make that foster care picnic. I was hoping I would be able to. Because I was on vacation in Washington DC, I got a chance to see a lot of the sites there, and like Commissioner Houston said, there's a lot of walking.
6 blocks at a time.
Yeah, but it's really impressive out there.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I'd never been there before. I'd recommend anybody to go. The museums out there are outstanding. The people, there's a lot of it.
Yep.
I had the opportunity to tour the White House.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you got in.
And tour the Capitol.
Oh, wow.
I was much more impressed with touring the Capitol than the White House. The White House was,
Yeah, I mean, we
they-
can't get into all the
They restrict you so
areas.
much in the White House.
yeah, it really wasn't. In fact, you had to go through 3 different types of security to go through the White House. So,
The tours were much better about 20 years ago.
oh, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Prior to 9/11, absolutely.
Where you could actually get into see the offices and that kind of thing.
You can still
Yeah.
get into the Pentagon back then.
Wow.
I think that, it was very, very impressive. I got the chance to see the statues in the Capitol of that each state has 2 statues.
Yep.
And people that they believe in, and that anytime they could change those out, and California has. I think we're the only ones so far that have really. And you can buy candy bars with our president's information on, which I was fortunate enough to come across one so that one of our assistant county attorneys could have one, because
Oh,
he's
good.
a huge fan of our current president. So I felt that was something I could really give to him.
Did you see where, like, the presidents, like Lincoln, where they sat, they had their little desks up on that upper floor, and they,
Yep.
yeah. that's
Yeah,
cool.
it was very neat, very neat.
It's impressive.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, just to remind everybody that next Tuesday is the primary election, and to get out and vote for whoever your preference is.
I forgot to mention, today is a night out, National Night Out. So the Buffalo Police is having their kind of celebration or their gathering at Dairy Queen, but we're also having one in our neighborhood. So it's a good way to assemble, the people, get to know people, and,
Get to know your neighbor.
and to look out for each other too, so.
Commissioner Vetch.
So I want to reiterate how great the foster care picnic was. I mean, those people do a huge service.
They do.
And I'm going to title it as it is a volunteer service to the citizens of the county, and they save, by their service, the citizens of the county exuberant amounts of money. So I can't thank them enough, and it was great to see that we do that. I'd like to see us kind of bolster that event just to really kind of share how much they mean to us and what they do. Second item, I wanted to let everybody know, if you're traveling overnight on I-94 sometime in the weeks ahead, they will be doing a surprise shutdown through Monticello as they place the coverings on the Fallon overpass. So it'll be shut down overnight in 15-minute intervals. But they won't tell us when, because they're not quite sure. But when they decide to do it, you'll just be driving down through the middle of the night through Monticello, and they'll make you get off. So
That's definitely a surprise.
that's definitely a surprise. But it's going to be all in the overnight hours. So
It's all subject to when the beams are available and the
Available.
transport of the beams
Okay.
to get there, and the crane getting ready and all that. So the one crane is up on the hill already,
Yep.
ready for it, so it's gonna come really quick here.
yeah, I'd say sometime in the next 2 weeks, I would imagine.
Because the
So.
one side, the south end, beams will be set first, then they gotta knock down the crane, bring it up to the north side.
Side, yeah.
They gotta finish that abutment, which is halfway there, and then, so it'll be like 2 or 3 different times they'll be doing this.
When is that bridge supposed to be done?
They're hoping to be by November, before the end of this year, they should be able to cross it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. We'll take some relief off of the residents of
25,
Monticello.
yeah, it'll be.
They're anticipating 3,500 to 4,000 cars a day.
Really?
Relief off 25. And if that holds true, that's huge for people who live in Monticello,
my.
because that's just a
It
nightmare
backs up.
trying to cross 25.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week, I was at the Board of Directors of Transportation Alliance. This is the 125th anniversary of that, the oldest lobbying organization for good roads in the nation. We've got our annual meeting in November down in St. Paul this year, and we're reviewing things that happened last session, the good things that happened for transportation and that. And being that this is a budget year coming up, usually every year you go for an ask of some kind of, last year's session, we tried to do a constitutional amendment. It made it through the House, stalled in the Senate, which is pretty typical for a lot of things. Constitutional amendments usually don't make it through the Senate here. The other thing is you gotta ask, because that's what they do, but it brought awareness to the issue on auto parts and the money needed. So we just need to expound upon the successes of what happened last year, but the need is still there. It's not just to check off the box and go. So it's going to be a little softer. It's more of an education year for the legislature to let them know, it's still here. Thank you for what you've done. Here's what we got accomplished by it, but here's still the outstanding need out there. And with this, like say, even Sherburne County now has gone the next step to get the sales tax option in.
Oh, they have?
Oh, yeah, it's going through. And I'm hearing rumblings, I didn't see it in the paper, read it in the paper, nothing, but I'm hearing rumblings that they'll repeal the wheelage tax when they do this, but it's up to them. But they did lay out a really nice scenario for the people and what's going on, businesses and the amount of money. They would actually have to raise their levy by much more than we would have had to for the sales tax option, because we've got a bigger tax base to spread it over. So it had a lot more impact to businesses and homeowners there than here. The difference, ours is about 10%, theirs is at least double that. And what the legislature, like I had indicated before, when they say, why aren't you using the tools we gave you? They're basically forcing you to do this. I mean, more and more counties, it's when Sherburne County comes in, I bet it'll be north of 50 counties that are doing this already.
I was just curious to find out how many counties actually are doing it.
Because they're waiting to see, like Sherburne County, when they talked, when we were going through this talk and discussion, they're waiting to see how people here reacted before they're doing it. And that's one of the pet peeves I've had, you know. We're waiting to see what they do, they're waiting to see what we do, and nobody's doing nothing in the meantime, and we still got to fix the roads, because that is the core function of our process here.
You know, I had somebody ask me yesterday regarding why we did that sales tax. And I said it was strictly for roads. It's all it could be used for. And obviously, we didn't get that information out there well enough because she didn't realize that. She was just wondering why we implemented a county sales tax. And I said it was strictly for roads, that there was not enough money coming from the state through the state aid programs and stuff that.
And that's the truth.
It wasn't even enough to keep, there was no money for expansions or improvements. It was just to maintain, and that wasn't even enough for that, so.
And we didn't want to raise people's property taxes.
Yeah, we had to do something.
You know, that's more of a burden for our property tax payers as opposed to people who are traveling through the county, they're using the roads, and it makes sense when they're making their purchases here that, to that, you know, 0.5%, so.
It'll be interesting, because in a couple of years, we'll have some metrics, we'll be able to look at permanent revenue information to see how it did affect the residents too, because they'll be able to back those numbers out. So I'm looking forward to that info.
And the other thing with the sales tax option, it's affording the county to do some projects that otherwise would have been done subpar, substandard, around Waverly Lake. I'll just pick on that one, it's Charlie's district. That because it was being built to county state aid standards, which it was not before. It's getting a walking trail around that lake to the safety of the citizens living there.
Right.
And coordinated with the city of Waverly getting their sewer and water repaired around there, which their I&I was killing them, infiltration of water coming into the system. So it's great for that. I mean, they had a pretty deep hole that one spot, Charlie, that they had to.
I get updates from the mayor on the email all the time, and with all the rain, they've just struggled with so much with, you know, because you have to have people get to their houses and get the garbage services, and they put a temporary water line in, and it's just, but the thing I think that the people that live there have to realize, when it's done, they're gonna have a much improved
very
thing.
nice.
So it's kind of,
Yep.
I equated it to somebody, you know, you're building a new house and you're going through all the rough stuff and all the mud and everything else, but in the end, you're gonna have a new home, and here they're gonna have a new road with a walking path, upgraded, you know, sewer and water, so, yeah, for the most part, I think most of the people they're accepting of the conditions, and they know it's tough. So.
And that's the thing, during Waverly Days, Charlie, I went through and talked to everybody that was outside and asked them, and they understood. They were frustrated because of the process, but they understood it had to get done, and say, this is a temporary problem here, it'll be done soon. And I look forward to being at a very nice road and a safe road for the citizens in that part of our county.
For all of us traveling on that road.
Right.
Mr. Kelly.
Anything else? Gordon Kelly, do you have anything?
I was just doing the quick math off the AMC map for the transportation. It looks like about 35 counties are up to the 0.5-cent sales tax now.
Wow.
Or almost at 50% of the counties.
Yep, so, quick couple things. Last week, we had a meeting with the Enterprise Fleet Management to talk about leasing vehicles and cars for the county fleet. Interesting meeting, kind of raised a lot of questions, so we're sending a lot of follow-up information back and forth. Good informational meeting. I don't know if we'll take any action on it at this time, but thought I'd make the board aware. The other item, we've been spending a lot of time with BKV, planning and moving towards the next phase of the building construction. They're planning a tour of some health and human services facilities that they've worked on, so we can get some design ideas. That'll be on the 16th. The board is welcome if you are available. It's going to be a full day, so that's probably going to conflict with a lot of people's calendars, but I thought I'd make you aware that that is out there, so.
Well, I'm not quite sure why you want to look at just health and human services buildings when we're building an administration building.
Great.
Personally, I think it's kind of unnecessary, but that's just my opinion. Anything else? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on one of Coordinator Kelly's comments about the enterprise car thing. That was a presentation that was brought to AMC Board of Directors meeting a couple months back, and a lot of counties took advantage of it. It saved them quite a bit of money. I think it doesn't hurt to listen to what they have to say. Maybe it's good for us, maybe it's not, but you listen to it and you find out if it works or not. And the fact that they can go up to a F-450 truck,
Yeah,
is
550.
kind of impressive. And just, if it saves us money,
I can't see how it can save us money.
well, you gotta ask the questions, you gotta follow through to figure out if it does or not. Some counties are telling us it's saving them a lot of money, and say, whether it is or not, you still gotta ask the question and follow through and, and then come to a conclusion, does it make sense for Wright County or not?
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
I do not.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
How many volunteers have we gotten so far?
As my last update was 2.
Oh, we have had some too.
So we'll have to revisit when our cutoff is going to be with that, and I'll get an update on if we've got additional volunteers at that time. So I know Bob would like to move forward with his staff to
Yep.
DMB.
And for the residents, the volunteers looking for somebody to man our front desk and just guide people to locations and where they need to be. Answer some phones, I believe, too.
Yep.
I shared it on Facebook and had one inquiry, so I don't know if she was one of the 2 that contacted, but.
Good. All right, anybody else have anything to add? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 9:41.